right, so we are live over there. And so welcome to our patrons here on the Zoom, and welcome to folks streaming on YouTube. I'm Elliot. This is TG-ENBY Project Monday Fitness live stream. We're here every week on Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you want in on the more personalized experience, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/TG-ENBY at any level, and you're going to get access to all of our classes via Zoom. So this is the only class that's going to be streamed. And there's Jude. Hi, Jude. So this is the only class that's going to be streamed. Now, I know I had a little teaser about a special announcement, and those of you that are on the Zoom, because your patrons already saw the special announcement, but we are rolling out more programming, and the new monthly classes will be available to patrons via Zoom. And there, like this class, we will have some spots reserved, community spots reserved each month for folks that aren't patrons to attend. So our first official one, and I'm going to get the exact date, and I should have written it down, but that's just my brain. The first one is going to be on August 23rd, and we're going to have a meditation class with light movement and chanting with puja. So those of you that are part of the Everybody community are familiar with puja. They're really amazing yoga teacher and musician and artist and just a lovely human being. So join us on the 23rd for that. That's going to be at 10 a.m., which I think is a respectable hour for a Sunday class, whether you're East Coast, West Coast, or somewhere in the middle. So today we have some core oriented stuff. We're going to be going back and forth between down on the ground and standing. So this is going to get our heart working a lot harder because it's going to have to work against gravity when we're standing. And then when we come down, it's shuttling the blood in different ways. So it's going to get our heart rates up. Hang in there where is appropriate for where you are today. And know that you can vary the movement if you want. I'm going to show different variations. Any of the plank variation stuff, feel free to do that on an elevated surface if you need to bring some of the resistance out of the movement. You can also always get lower to the ground by coming to your forearms if you want something more challenging. So like usual, we're going to start standing for our standing joint prep. So let's come to your position, get your water if you need it, and your towel. So Jude, I was telling them that if you need my attention, feel free to unmute and grab my attention to ask any questions or throw something up in the chat there, and I will take a look and we'll get you squared away. So let's start up at our heads with our head rolls, loosening up our neck from our day. We build up a lot of stress and hold it in our shoulders and our neck. And those of you that haven't been in my living room yet, I live right by the metro tracks and other way. So we might get some train interruptions. I apologize in advance. And then look over your shoulder and switch and look over your other shoulder. And just switch side to side with your breath. We're going to bring it into the shoulders and we're going to roll them going back. So shrug them up, pull them together, and slide them down. Start to bring some awareness to your abdominals, to your belly, and try to find that bracing sensation. So bracing, like you're tightening your tummy up, other direction. And see if you can maintain that bracing sensation throughout the whole class. And if you lose it, it's okay. Just think of about maybe 30% of your total strength, 20 to 30%. We're going to bring hands to the hips and we're going to draw nice big circles. So this one's like you've got a marker on your tailbone and you're trying to make a big circle on the ground. Feel out in your hips where there might be some tightness from your day and just pay attention to it. Let's go the other way. Think about keeping the knees soft. So, and by that I mean like a soft little baby bend in the knees. We don't want them super bent, but we also don't want them hyperextended because then it gets really hard to move our pelvis around. Awesome. We're going to come into straight leg circles going back. And I'm still got that little baby bend in this grounded knee. That's gonna help with stability. So if you find that you're having a hard time stabilizing the torso, get that little baby bend in the knee and brace your tummy. We're gonna take those straight leg circles in the other direction. And I'm keeping my glute nice and tight on this side. That's also gonna help me with my stability. And switch sides, circles going back on the other leg. Pay attention to what's happening in your foot on the ground. And if you notice that it feels like you're trying to hold on to the earth with your toes, just pick your toes up and set them down gently. And then take those circles going back. And your hands can be in whatever position's comfortable for you. If you find that having them out helps you maintain your stability a little better, then bring them out. We're gonna alternate hip flexor stretch now. So you're gonna pull your heel to your butt, squeeze your butt, and then release it. So we're just establishing that end range and then releasing. So especially since we're moving side to side here, I find fixing my gaze on something that doesn't move out in front of me to be really helpful for maintaining stability. And we're just hitting that end range and then releasing it and going to the other side. We want our stretching at the beginning of our sessions to be dynamic, and we'll save that static stretching for the end. We're going to transition into dynamic hamstrings next. So we're going to do an alternating foot to hand. Now it's okay if they don't actually touch each other. Maybe yours is only coming this high. That's totally fine. We're just seeking out that stretching sensation in the back of your thigh and your hamstrings. And think about using your lower abdominals to help lift your leg up. So this isn't all in your hip flexors. We just stretched out those hip flexors, so hopefully they're not as active as they normally would be. Beautiful. Come into whatever your natural stance for your squat is. We're gonna work on getting down into a deep squat. For some of you, this might be as deep as you are, and that's totally fine. For some of us, it's all the way down here. So just take whatever yours is. We're just gonna spend some time settling into this squat. If you're all the way at the bottom and you have contact with your knees, you can press your elbows to the inside of your knees and help push your legs apart a little bit more. And we're gonna rock side to side to just take a little bit of an extra dorsiflexion in the foot, meaning when the foot's coming close to the body. And we're gonna take a twist from here. So we're gonna extend our arms and open up the chest. Now, if your deep squat's here, you might look something like this, and that's all right as well. And then we're gonna swim that arm through and switch. And with each exhale, we're just switching to the other side. Bring your gaze to your top hand. It's okay if you have to come up out of this for a moment if it starts to feel too intense. We're gonna take one more on each side. And then bring your fingertips under your toes. I'm gonna turn this way so you have a little more of a view of what's happening here. I'm keeping my chest open and my shoulders pulled together, and I'm gonna lift my hips and look behind me through my legs, stretching my hamstrings out, and then drop your hips down and pick your chest up. And lift your hips and look behind you. I'm looking up just so I can see y'all. Good, and then drop your hips down and pick your chest up. Shift your gaze up in front of you. And then one more time, look behind and drop it down, and then release your feet, and then go ahead and come up nice and slow, keeping your torso upright. Quick little time check, beautiful. We're gonna come into some jumping jacks. So 60 seconds of jacks here. As you're jumping out, jack your arms all the way up above your head and then bring them all the way down. If jumping doesn't feel great for your body, you can do this alternating step variation. If you have shoulder issues, you can bend at the elbow to avoid bringing your shoulder above, your elbow above your shoulder. So take whichever variation feels good for you. I'm gonna set a timer for 1 minute in 3, 2, and 1. Good. So I'm staying light on the balls of the feet, making sure I'm not slamming my heels down into the ground. That's gonna allow my body to absorb some of the impact before it gets to the other joints in the body. Like I said, if that impact isn't feeling good for you, then bring it here. Or maybe if the jumping feels a little too intense, if it doesn't feel intense enough, then you can bring up your speed. You know what's right for you. So always want to get that heart rate up, get the blood pumping. If it's been a little while since you've been in, had a workout, then be gentle with yourself, be compassionate with yourself, just as compassionate as you would be towards a friend. 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. You're gonna press through your heel now, and then we'll just up and pop up and switch. So we're just looking to stretch out those calves a little bit from the jumping. And then we're gonna take a little bit of wrist mobility since we're doing so much planking, and then I'll start teaching you the movements for today. So clasp the hands together. I'm gonna come in a little bit closer just so everyone can have a better view of what we're doing here. We're just drawing circles with the knuckles. Now, if you dip into a range in here that is painful, I want you to stay out of the pain. Dance with the edge of it, but don't dive all the way into it. Another way. A lot of times we forget about our wrists. And then we're gonna keep them looped together, but bring them flat. And you're gonna lift the elbow and then lift the wrist, and then the other wrist, and then the other elbow, and then back to the starting point. We're gonna do the other side now. So neutral, and then other elbow, wrist, wrist, elbow, back to your starting point. So if you conceptualize it as the elbow going and then the wrist, it makes these waves a little bit easier. And then remember wrist relief position. Those of you who have done things with me before will be familiar with wrist relief. This is a position you can come in at any point if things start to feel intense in your wrist from the planking. Also note that you can, by changing the positioning in your wrist, you can alleviate pressure. So if your fingertips are pointing forward and you're having some pain, try turning them slightly out. Alternately, if you have grips or you have dumbbells or something you can hold on to when you're in your planking that will keep your wrist straight, that will also relieve the pain. So if you have any issues with your wrist, just holler and I'll help you find a solution that works for you. So take some water if you need it. I'm gonna start teaching you the movements. We're gonna do a short set of each movement, and then we're gonna turn it into a circuit doing each movement for 60 seconds. Rest when you need rest. Just because I don't call rest doesn't mean that you can't take it if you need it. So just know that this is all about your pace and where you are today. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Just enjoy your practice for this evening. So we're gonna start with a plank with a tuck. Now I wanna start doing our tuck standing. So I'm gonna give you this side view and bringing hands to my hips. Now I'm gonna exaggerate the movement to start. So if we were really flaring that tailbone up and out, okay? The opposite of this would be the tuck, which is where we get the flat back. So obviously I'm doing a really exaggerated version of this, but we are gonna be working this tuck from a plank. So we're gonna be starting at neutral and then tucking and releasing to neutral and tucking. Now you can tuck at whatever pace feels good for you in this plank. So the more frequently you tuck, the more contractions you're getting in there, the harder it's gonna be. So do whatever plank variation is appropriate for your conditioning level, whether that is an elevated plank on a piece of furniture, that could be a high elevated plank, it could be a forearm elevated plank, or it could be on the ground as a high elevated plank, or on the floor as a low elevated plank. This is gonna be the more challenging variation. You can also do this from a knee position and you'll still get some good work. So go ahead and take whichever position, plank position. I'm gonna work this first one from a high plank, and we're just gonna work on, let's say 15 tucks. So remember what it felt like to do that tuck when you were standing, and go ahead and come into a plank. And we're gonna start with that neutral pelvis position, and you're gonna exhale and tuck. Release and tuck. I like to put an exhale on each tuck. 5, 6, 7, 8. Keep it tucking. I'm going to come down to my forearms. So those of you that are on your forearms, I'm going to challenge you that as you're tucking, drive your elbows towards your toes. Let's go 3 more. 3, 2, and 1. So that's going to be your tuck plank. All right, that'll be our first movement in the circuit. Now we're going to come to standing, and we're going to do a Fonda steam engine. So this is taking a Jane Fonda movement, and we're smashing it together with a steam engine. So for the Jane Fonda portion, we're going to go to the side and the side. So I've got a slight external rotation at the hip happening with this leg. So if I were dancing in here, it's that. And then I'm pulling my knee, or sorry, pulling my elbow to my knee as I externally rotate at the hip, right? So this is the Fonda portion. The steam engine portion is going to go cross body. So we're going to exhale and pull elbow to knee across the body, meeting at the navel line. All right. So when those two come together, it's going to be Fonda, Fonda, sorry, other side, there we go, steam engine, Fonda, Fonda, steam engine. You'd think that I'd know this, right? There we go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get 2 more on each side of each movement. And exhale, 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 boom, 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 right? So we're hitting in the obliques, we're hitting some nice spots in the rectus abdominis. Those are your 6-pack muscles. So that's going to be your Fonda steam engine. After that, we have a shimmy plank. So I want you to go ahead and just practice kind of shimmying your hips while you're standing. We're just kind of moving the hips from side to side. That dance that you like to do when you're a little kid, probably still like to do it as a grown-up. Now we're going to take that shimmy, and it's just going to be slow though, okay? So in the plank, we're going to work on just shimmying the hips from side to side. And you can do whatever pace feels good for you. And once again, you can do this also from a forearm position. So let's work through just 30 seconds. I'll get that timer set up for y'all and see what 30 seconds there feels like. This is going to help you determine which variation is going to be appropriate for you. This is like our second set of planking movement, so it might feel a little more intense. We're using different muscles to move the hips versus what we were using to do our tuck. Should feel your rectus abdominis really, really fighting to stabilize for this one. And just breathe. Focus on 1 second at a time, and that's your 30 seconds. All right. So our next standing movement is going to be a corner push. Now this one I really want you to watch first. You're going to start this movement by pushing your hips to the side, all right? And then you're going to look around the corner. So envision there's a wall right here, and there's a corner you want to look around. So you're going to bend your torso to look around the corner, and then I want you to shove it away. Pull it back, come up, and we're going to do the other side. So push your hips first, look around the corner, shove it away, pull it back, and come up. So hips to the other side, look around the corner, push it away, pull it back, up to the center. I'm going to turn this way so you can see this angle that's created with the torso. Up, other side, look around the corner, shove it away, pull it back, and up. Let's do one more on each side. Hips, boom, shove it away, pull it back, and up. Other side, hips, look around the corner, push it away, pull it back, and center. How are y'all feeling on that one? Good? Okay, I see thumbs up. Awesome. So the last movement is going to be a ball toss to Russian twist. So you're going to pretend like you have a ball. Finally get to lay down all this core work and you haven't laid down once. You're going to throw the ball up and over. Okay. So if you can't sit up all the way, that's totally fine. Or if you need to help yourself up, that's fine. And then miraculously, the ball just comes right back to your hands. It's almost as though you didn't even have a ball in your hands to begin with. And then you're going to Russian twist down. Then we're going to throw our ball to come up and Russian twist down. So you're going to hit a point in coming down where you can't twist anymore. And you just kind of go kerplunk. When you find that point where you can't really twist anymore, I really want you to brace your belly and control your descent. Okay. So throw the ball. Let's get a few reps. Russian twist down. Throw the ball. Russian twist on your way down. 2 more. Throw it. Russian twist. And Russian twist. So if you have issues with your tailbone, your coccyx, and you need a little extra padding, totally okay to fold up a little towel or put fold your mat over to give yourself a little extra padding there. All right, friends. So that's all of our movements. Do any of you here in Zoom have any questions about any of those movements or need to see something demonstrated again? We're all good? All right. So like I said, we're going to do each of these for a minute. Take breaks in there where you need it. We will have some rest at the end of the set. So it's 5 minutes of continuous movement. Then we'll take a minute of rest. And just push yourself within those minutes. And if you need to take extra rest, take extra rest. I'm going to have a little sip of water before we start, and you are welcome to as well. I'm excited. We've got to start with that plank with a tuck, that tucking plank. I'm going to get our minute ready. Find whichever plank variation you're going to be using for this set. We're going to begin in 3, 2, and 1. So push that tailbone down and forward, and then release it. Really try to make that tailbone, the pelvis, the only thing that's moving. And it doesn't have to be a big movement. We're just looking to get that little extra bracing, that little extra contraction in the abdominals. This is also helping our body learn where the pelvis needs to be in order for the abdominals to be active and support the spine. So by doing this full session of abdominal work, we're really working on your abdominal endurance and stability, which is really, really important for overall health and engaging in movement without injury. Because those abdominals are really important in stabilizing the spine as your limbs move around your torso. Keep on going. You've got this, and time. We're going to come to standing. Oop, mosquito. I got it. We got the Fonda steam engine. So remember, we've got Fonda, steam engine, steam engine. 3, 2, and begin. Now I'm exaggerating my exhales here just so you can hear them. The more you exhale, the deeper your contraction will be. See if you can really feel those obliques. Those are the muscles in the side of your abdominal squeezing. And make it dynamic, like really drive your elbow towards your knee. Think of it as a side crunch while you're standing, and then a cross body crunch while you're standing. And if you needed to feel how important the abdominals are when the limbs are moving, these movements will do it for you. 3, 2, and 1. All right, we have our shimmy plank now. Feel free at any point in this that you need to take some hip flexor stretches to take them, because we really don't want the hip flexors to get overactive when we're doing core work, because then they dominate. So shimmy plank, remember we got that little hip shimmy. We're gonna start that in 3, 2, and begin. So I'll start in this high plank variation, keeping the shoulders stacked over the wrists, and really keep that navel pulling back towards the spine as though it's a screw and it's being screwed into the back. Now, if you're at this point in this minute and you still aren't really feeling that burn, go ahead and come down to your forearms and then drive your elbows towards your toes. You got it. You got 20 seconds left. Just breathe. You can always slow it down if you need to. We're shooting for nice, tight, controlled shimmies in the hips. Keep breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it up. Woo, getting a little steamy in here. We have the corner push next. So this is where the hips push to the side, look around the corner, shove it away, pull it back. All right, let's start in 3, 2, and 1. I'm gonna go to this side now, and up. So this is a really odd angle, but I promise if you really squeeze your belly, if you really wanna push this one to the next level, you can always put a weight in your hands, a dumbbell, and stabilize that dumbbell as it pushes away from your body. If you don't have a dumbbell, you can use your towel and you just pull on your towel while you're doing this movement and work on keeping tension on the towel. And it will also make this significantly more challenging. I like doing new movements when we're first learning them with no weights, and then adding some resistance once you really have the movement down. But you should really feel your side body tomorrow. You might be feeling it already. And time, beautiful. That one went by so fast. We have that ball toss to Russian twist next. So coming down to the ground, 3, 2, and begin. Toss the ball and then twist it down. Really control those last few inches. And same thing here, if you want to make this harder, then you can put an actual weight or ball in your hands, something with some resistance to it, or you can take that towel and you can pull on your towel, maintaining tension on it while you work. There's always a way to make things more challenging. And if you're ever curious about how to make something harder, you just ask me. I'm always more than happy to give you some small adjustments or variations that can make something harder. Alternately, if something is maybe a little inaccessible, I also love coming up with creative ways, fun ways to elicit the same response, but maybe with a different movement or a variation. And time. All right, you get that 60 seconds of recovery time now. How is everyone feeling? I see thumbs, I see sweat. I've got sweat on my forehead. Yay, good, Ari. It's supposed to be really, really, really hot by the end of the week here. And I think everyone, here, yeah, everyone that is in the Zoom right now is in Los Angeles. So you're in the same weather boat. So yeah, so we have over 100 degrees by Saturday this week. KR, your face just went whoop. All right, we have about 10 seconds left. We're gonna come back to the top of the set, which is that Fonda steam engine. Oh wait, no, it's our tuck plank. I'm just so excited about the standing core work. So tuck plank from whichever variation is good for you. In 3, 2, and begin. So start neutral and tuck it and release. Exhale to tuck, release. Lift the navel. Think about making a C out of your abdominals. And think about pulling your shoulder blades towards each other. So if you feel this sensation of rounding in the shoulder blades, I'm going to challenge you to pull them together. Thinking about that bottom ridge of the shoulder blades. And feel how strong your core can get, how strong your abdominals can get when you squeeze your booty. So this is the value of using your butt when you're in a plank. So believe it or not, your butt is a really important part of the core and helping keeping the spine aligned. It puts the pelvis in the position it needs to be in order for the abdominals to be able to really contract. I'm starting to get some good heat built up in there and time. Come up to standing for our fondas. Now we get to do our fondas. And we're going to pull to the side, side, across the body, side, side, across the body, across the body. There we go. You can play with those exhales. That one was a burp. There we go. Really remember your crunch there. Oh, you're in trouble when your teacher can't even keep track of what side they're on. There we go. Y'all are doing great. I see nice high knees, which I love seeing for these movements. It does get harder as we get tired. So just stay in there. 3, 2, and 1. All right. Remember your shimmy. We got the shimmy. So come into your plank and let's shimmy those hips. Just side to side. And just breathing. Stay long in the back of your neck. And try to concentrate the movement in the hips. Still pulling that navel back. Remember, if the wrists start to bother you, you can try making fists here and see how that feels. That'll straighten them out. If you are a person who has longer nails, the fist might not be as comfortable for you. Keep on breathing. Shimmy, 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 shimmy. You got this. Pull those shoulder blades together. Remember, you can do this from here too. So if you need to drop your knees, you can still keep the spine nice and straight, and you should still be able to feel this in your abdominals. And time. All right. Corner pushes next. You're almost there. 3 down, 2 to go for this set. If you're doing your towel, grab your towel, push the hips, look around the corner, shove it, pull it back and up. Hips, taking a peek, shove it, pull it, and back. So give yourself a little bit of a beat when you're pushing, that your arms stay extended so that you can stabilize there for a moment. We want to make sure that we're working the isometric action of the muscle as well. That's when you hold a contraction. So that's going to be when you're using a weight, when the force that you're producing is equal to the force that you're working against. And up. Good. Remember your breath. Hips are first. Hips hold that position until it's time to come upright. Boom. Look. You're doing great. You're almost there. 1 breath at a time. And time. All right. Ball toss to Russian twist. In 3, 2, and begin. And then twist it down. Remember, we want nice tight control for the whole range of motion. And if you find that maintaining control is getting a little hard, then just kind of slow everything down and really focus. Maybe you need to stop your twist a little bit sooner than what you would like to, but that's okay. We want lots of control on the way down, especially since we're using a fair amount of force on the way up and velocity. We're really focusing on the eccentric portion of this movement, which is when the abdominals are lengthening under tension versus contracting. So we're building strength in a different action, which is just as important as the contraction. And time. Woo! All right, 60 seconds of recovery. Yay! It's our time for some water. Time for some kiki, maybe some petting the kitty time for our cat people. My dog is lying on the porch ignoring me. Oh, it's the baby. She knew I was talking about her. Now she's walking over here. Hello, it's break time. You want to come say hi? Yeah. We got to have a cameo. She's muy dirty. Oh my God, look at the baby kitty. Oh my gosh, he is so beautiful, KR. It's gonna be muy guapo. Oh, everybody's got their little friends. Ah, this is the best break ever. I think that we should just make this a regular part of class. We all have to have our like stop and pet an animal period. All right, how much break time do we have left? 3 seconds. Oh my gosh, we better get back in our plank before it's too late. All right, this is our tuck plank. Let the hips go and then tuck. There you go, exhale and tuck. Once again, you can come down lower if you need to. And remember, this one can be done from the knee position as well, just like the shimmy can. It's a little bit easier from knees if we're high, but we're just going to neutral and then tucking. So this is getting the work as well. So don't you worry if your body needs a different variation of the movement. Just know that you're building strength in that variation, and then eventually you'll move into a different variation. And if this feels easy for you, I want you to think about how can you make it feel not so easy? Can you squeeze a little bit harder? I bet you can, because regardless of what level you're at, even if you're highly, highly conditioned, you should be able to take any of these movements and make them feel very challenging. All right, Fonda steam engine, let's come to standing. I know this up and down is rough, but you got this. 3, 2, and we got side, side, cross, cross, side, side, cross, cross. Nice work, y'all. Remember that external rotation in the hip for the fondas. So you can always create internal tension to make these ones a little bit harder, crunch a little bit harder, a little more active. So maybe you're making a deeper C out of your abdominals. It's really tempting to let the hip flexors dominate here. So I challenge you to find that space where you're really feeling the abs. And time. Shimmy. We love the shimmy, right? Let's come back into your plank. I'm going to start in a forearm plank. 3, 2, and begin. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Y'all are doing great. I like a narrow base on the toes here, but if that feels too wild and maybe not stable enough for you, just widen your base. So the wider your base on your feet, the more support you have. If it feels really, really easy, then narrow it up and drive your elbows. And really keep that bottom rib tucked, shoulder blades pulled together, long in the back of the neck, all of those little pieces of this that come together. You only have less than 20 seconds left, maybe about 15 at this point. Can you do it for 15? I think you can. One breath at a time. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! That one was intense, y'all. You did a great job. We're gonna come back up to standing for our corner push. All right, set yourself up. 3, 2, and begin. Hips, and then look, push, pull, and up. So as you get used to this movement, it might turn more fluid. So in this set, I'm rounding out those edges a little bit and turning it into a little more fluid of a movement. I'm a little warmer now. I feel a little more well acquainted with the movement and where I need to stabilize. If you're still in the point where of the learning process where you need to break it up into separate steps, then stay right there. That's totally fine. And you'll develop much more fluid movement that way. And just know that all of this comes with time. I had to learn this movement from the beginning. I still learn new movements, and it's very humbling. It's always nice to be reminded. 3, 2, and finish your rep. 1. Down to the ground. We've got one more ball toss to Russian twist on the way down. Starting with the ball back behind your head and begin. Twist, twist, twist. This is your last one, so make this your best one. And by best one, I mean the most controlled, the most fluid. Oh, yeah. Exhale and make that twist nice and solid. Focus on those last 3 to 4 inches of the movement on the way down and making them really solid. Boom, almost there. Keep it up, stay focused. Nice, y'all, keep that twist. And time. All right, let's take one more recovery minute. Let the heart rate come down just a touch. KR, yours is probably already down to resting rate. Have some water. So we're gonna transition into the period of the workout where we're gonna cool down, we're gonna decompress, we're gonna redeposit in the bank, and we're gonna be doing that down on the mat. So you don't need to worry about getting up if you're already on your mat. I'm gonna adjust the camera a little bit and bring my mat a little bit closer so that you have a little more of a detailed view. All right, we're almost there, about 15 seconds left. And we're gonna begin by coming into a prone position on the ground. So that's gonna be face down on your tummy. And if you're having any issues with your chest, where that pressure doesn't feel great on your chest, it's totally okay to give yourself a little bit of support and a little bit of space here, or to put anything down on the ground that you need to be comfortable. So we're gonna start with some spine work, loosen up and mobilize the spine after all of that core work. So some of you may be starting on forearms. Some of you may have a pretty flexible spine and already be in a position where you're here. So I'm gonna start here and then transition. So I'm gonna squeeze my butt cheeks, tuck my tailbone. It's like I'm trying to press the front of my pelvis down into the ground. Staying long in the back of the neck and pulled together in the shoulders. I'm going to press into the mat, lift my chest, look up to the ceiling, tuck your chin, and bring it down. And then squeeze your butt and tuck your tailbone again, press and lift your gaze and down. One more squeeze, tuck. Now you can stay here if this amount of extension feels good for you, this amount of flexion, or you can come to your hands and press and look up and down. You know your back and you know what amount of movement's good for you. Squeeze, tuck, and press. We're gonna get one more. Squeeze, tuck, and press. And go ahead and lift your hips, feet together, knees wide. Press your hips back to your heels and leave your arms extended. I'm gonna bring my pinky blade of my hand down to the ground and press. So you can see that my elbows are lifted. And press your sternum down towards the mat. We're stretching out our lats here, stretching out our shoulders and chest. Hello, pork chop. And just breathe in this position. And then bring your hands flat to the ground and use your hands to pull yourself forward and then squeeze your butt and press into the front of your hips. And then press back into that child's pose. And then exhale, press into the front of your hips. If you sit a lot, then pressing into the front of those hips may feel very uncomfortable. Just find the edge of the discomfort, the edge of the pain, and press it back. One more. And bring it back. All right, let's get a doozy for the hip flexors. I'm gonna grab a little pad for my knee because I know that my knees need a little bit of extra support. If you need to fold your mat or to grab a towel or a pillow, grab whatever you need. And we're gonna come into a half kneeling position. I'm starting with my right knee on the ground. That's just because I know that my right hip flexor is my tighter one. So you do whichever one feels right for you. And we're gonna press forward into the hip flexor. Keep your hips square. So the side of the leg that's in the back, that hip is gonna wanna pull back, press it forward as you use your thigh bone to press this side back. Now, if you feel like you're dipping into your low back, then I want you to just bring your sternum forward a little bit and keep your back nice and flat. And if you wanna go a little bit deeper without necessarily pushing deeper into the position, squeeze your butt cheek and press your shin down into the ground. And we're using it about 30% of your strength, 30 to 40% if you're using that technique. You don't need to press with all of your strength. And as you feel that hip flexor opening up, press just a touch deeper. Now, for those who want to go a little bit deeper and come a little more into the superficial hip flexor, back out of that position a little bit, bend the grounded leg, and you can pull your butt towards, I'm sorry, pull your heel towards your butt. Now I have to keep my gaze fixed this way for this. If I look over at the computer to see y'all, I will absolutely fall over. But this is just gonna bring it into the rectus femoris, which is the hip flexor in your quad. Versus here, we're in the iliopsoas, which are your deep hip flexors. They're deep in your pelvis. We're gonna come to the other side now. I didn't know you were getting a anatomy and physiology lesson tonight, did you? And same concept here, keep this hip pushed forward so that you stay square, belly stays tight, tailbone tucked, glute is active, and you're driving your shin into the ground. And breathe. I like to visualize my breath going into the tight area. And then as I exhale, breathing all the tension out. Release back if you're coming into the deeper position or into this superficial hip flexor position. So I'm noticing I have a little more tightness in my quad on this side today. So I'm just gonna kind of settle into whatever's available to me right now. Not worrying about how deep I got into this position on any other day besides this one right here, right now. And release it when you're ready. Just a quick little time check. Let's do one seated stretch. Just want to spend a little bit of time in the shoulders from all the planking. So take whatever seated position is comfortable for you. And you're going to bring your arm, extend it out in front of you, bring it across your body, and then wrap it. It's like you're patting yourself on the back. And then press on the back of your elbow as you press your elbow back into your hand, and press that shoulder down away from your ear. So for now, we're keeping our neck neutral. I'm going to take a couple of breaths and then tilt your ear towards the hand that's on the shoulder. It's going to bring us into our upper traps. And if you want to kind of roll your head a little bit, you might get a little flossing action in the neck. And release. Extend the other arm, sitting up nice and tall, bring it across the body, wrap it, press. So hands pushing into elbow, elbows pushing back into hand, long, long neck with the shoulder pressing away from the ear, and then tilt towards your hand. I just heard all sorts of Rice Krispies in my neck on that side. And then floss it. And then go ahead and just take some head rolls just for good measure. Another way. Ooh, that was some beautiful work, y'all. For those of you that are on the YouTube, I'm going to be signing you off. If you want to get in on the Zoom action, then you can go and become a patron at any level, and you will get the Zoom link each week and access to our other classes. And for those of you that are on the Zoom that want to stick around for another minute or two, feel free to. Goodbye, YouTube. We'll see you next week. And